Hello and welcome, you guys. I'm in a fabulous mood today. It's a great day. I always am, though. It's kind of my default. It's very sunny today, and I'm just in good spirits, so I thought I would make a plant video. So today I'm going to talk about bee balms, also known as Monarda, also known as Bergamots. They have so many different names, just a whole host of different common names to them. And that happens to be this plant right over here. So mine's just in bloom right now. This started as one individual slip and then it's just spread. So I had other things here. I had GM avens, which is just trying to grow in the middle here, and I have alliums and lilies and all sorts of dianthus and stuff in here. But the bee balm has kind of taken over. So this plant here blooms all throughout the summer. I find it's most intensely blooming in June. Right now we're in kind of late May. I think it's May the 22nd. We'll see like when I end up actually posting this, but right now it's May the 22nd. And yeah, so this plant here does very well in extremely rich humus soils that are very fertile. I find that this plant here needs a lot of mulching and pampering to really get those blooms that you're looking for. It grows to a mature height of just over 3.5 feet and a width of, as you can see here, like 6, 7, 8 feet even, if you actually let it. It takes a couple of years to establish. I find that in its first year it will not bloom for you. I mean, unless you're incredibly lucky and it's very fast growing, but usually it won't bloom for you. And a couple things I really want to mention about this plant is, much like many traditional peonies, it requires the aid of ants in order to produce those bloom buds. So you notice a whole lot of ants just on these cool dragon egg-like buds. And that's perfectly normal. The type of ants that this attracts aren't detrimental to the health of your garden. This is tiny little like saw ants and stuff like that. That's just a natural thing that occurs when you plant this plant. It's just like an ant magnet. It also attracts tiny little spiders. Don't know if you can see this little spider here. I think that's like a gypsy spider or something. That's just one of its natural pollinators. It just kind of, as it hunts its little prey on top of the flowers, I find that that tends to pollinate them, and as well as the help of many bees. I know bumblebees really love these too, hence the name Bee Balm. They come in several different shades of white, blue, this kind of purpley blue. They come in pink, purple, and just a whole host of cool colors. So that's why I really like pairing them up with other sort of blue and purple plants. Another thing I really wanted to say about this plant is it's quite cold hardy. It's cold hardy to about negative 18 degrees Celsius, which we rarely get here in Metro Vancouver, but you always want to be prepared, am I right? Another thing I will say is I'm gonna start dividing this every year or every second year, because as I've noticed, they start to produce this like hole in the middle of the clump. I don't know if you can see here, they produce like a ring of foliage, and then the inside, the interior just kind of expires. So that's just another thing you want to note if you want like more profuse, even growth across the whole clump of your plant. You should divide it every few years. And they smell really faintly, really kind of sweet. I find the smell is more intense at night. These guys also attract brown moths. I'm not sure the type of moth, but it's quite large. It's about this big, so like the huge nighttime moths. So if you don't like moths, you might not want to plant this one here. They're heavy water feeders. I've noticed that if you, or water drinker, well, feeders too, they're heavy feeders, but they're heavy water drinkers. So these guys here will wilt like crazy, and they'll let you know when they're thirsty. If it's like in the heat of summer and you forget to water them for one day, expect them all to be wilted. So if you go on a trip or something like that, make sure that you have somebody to water your Monardas, or they'll all be toast after a few days of just direct sunlight. So they like this kind of filtered light. I have my Cedrus deodara here, it's out by the house. They don't tend to like a whole lot of wind. Wind just kind of seems to mess with the structure of the plant. It's just a little bit too much force on its stems, and they tend to flop over and need staking. So that there is my little introduction to Monarda, or Bee Balm, or Bergamot. They come in so many different colors and forms. This is just one of them. They have this really interesting bud that looks quite similar to like a zinnia bud. I think they look kind of like dragon eggs, and I think they're super cool. These guys will self-seed to germination time you can expect in a couple of weeks. They need warm soils to germinate, and they need to be planted quite shallowly. because they need some penetration of light into the soil growing media in order to germinate. So they're a little bit photosensitive. So what I do is I just pinch them back to the nearest growing point, in this case right over here, and that just prolongs the blooming cycle of this plant too, and it gives you a more fuller appearance because the stems start to fork and then you get more buds. This is not an edible plant, unfortunately. I know one of my friends tried this and she said it tastes like crap. So you might not want to try that, but yeah, this here's Monarda. I've talked a lot. I'm just really excited about this plant, and have a good one. Stay safe, stay blessed. I hope you guys are in a fantastic mood, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.